But that right there, that was trauma for me that I lived with for decades.
Yeah.
I felt guilty, and even if I have given my life to God and all of that, it was still in the back of my mind. Even though I know He had forgiven me and all of that, it's like I kept bringing it up to Him. Like, God, I know You love me, but I know You can't forget about that bad sin thing that I did. And welcome back to another episode of Woman at the Well. I'm your host, Carla Compton. It is indeed my pleasure to have you stop by and check out my podcast. I really do greatly appreciate that. If you have not already subscribed, I want to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I think it's going to be a blessing to you. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. As you know, I've been in this series of speaking with different women about their Woman at the Well journey or their experience. And so people were asking me, well, what about your story? And so I told them to go back to my channel because I've been telling my story. But then I realized I really haven't told a lot of my story. And so today, instead of me being the interviewer, I'm going to be the interviewee. So this is going to get interesting. Because I'm nervous, y'all. But it's okay. I think there's going to be something that's going to be helpful to a lot of other women out there. And it's going to help me as well to kind of get my story out there. And so I wanted to have someone who loves me, who knows me. They know the ins and the outs. They know the secret side of me. And they love me in spite of it. She was actually the one that actually introduced me to Jesus so many years ago as a high school student, just watching her life. And so I thought there will be nobody better that can interview me with love and with compassion better than she can. And so today, my special guest and my special host is going to be my dearest friend, Leandria Knuckles. Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Actually, I didn't interview you. We just kind of had a discussion about a Bible topic. I forget what it was, but it was so good.
It was really
so
good.
And so I'll probably link that also. You can go back and check that out. She is a powerful woman of God. And so she's going to be interviewing me. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her as I transition into the guest space or the interviewee. All right. Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank you very much for choosing me to be here with you in this very sacred and private, semi-private, explosive
right
area.
All of that.
Thank you for considering me for doing this for you. And of course, you know, I love you deeply.
Yeah. I know
forever
that.
and ever and ever. And amen.
Amen. Thank you.
But first of all, Mrs. Compton, tell us please a little about yourself.
Okay, so before I was Mrs. Compton, my last name was Sadler. And so my family called me Gina. So I think a lot of them are going to know me by that name. So just a little bit about me. I was born to a single mother of 6 kids. Her name was Shirley Sadler. I love her. She's my hero. But she raised 6 kids. And so I had 4 brothers and I had an older sister, at least in my household. I do have my other siblings that my daddy had, you know,
Yeah.
but and I love them too. But I grew up with my mama's children. And so I'm married. I've been married for 15 years now. I have 3 children. I have 2 girls and 1 boy. I had to think about what
Yeah.
but I was already thinking about my grandkids is what I was thinking about. So I have 2 girls, Kayla and Chelsea, and then I have my only son, Christopher. Kayla is my oldest. Christopher is my middle child, and he has some of those middle child issues. I love him to death. And then I have my baby girl, Chelsea. I also have 5 grandchildren. And they my life, girl. I love my grandchildren. So I have Alana, she's my oldest. She's 17. I have Carson, who is 16. And then I have Alea. She's 12. And then I have Zoe, and Zoe is 10. And then I have my baby, my newest one, Eden, and she's 9 months old. And so that sums up who I am. And we'll get more into the depths of me a little bit later on, but that's just a little bit about me.
Mm-hmm. So, growing up in a single mom home, how do you think that shaped you?
Wow, that's a good question already. It shaped me. Oh my God, I'm so glad you're asking that question. I want to be real and transparent here because, again, I want everybody to know I didn't prepare. I wanted to be really authentic in my responses to her. So I will be taken, off guard, and which is good. I wanted that. But that's a good question. It shaped me very, very much. One of the reasons is because although I adore my mom, and again, she was my hero, I was also embarrassed by it. And again, not to say anything against my mom, but I was embarrassed by being raised by a single mom, right? And so even in school, when everybody else was talking about, their daddies and their daddy doing this, as a kid in school, you hearing about it, that was so foreign to me. I didn't have a father growing up in the home, so that was foreign to me. But that seemed like it was normal. They seemed happier. They seemed to have more money. We were always struggling,
Right.
We had to be on welfare at one point, but it was a very short amount of time. Because my mom had too much pride to stay there. She worked 3 jobs at one time to make sure that we were taken care of.
Which also shows you how strong your mom was.
Yeah.
And not to stay in a deficit place.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a great testimony to her and a great testimony to show to you.
That's true.
To fight.
That's true. That's true. And I think I get a lot of, me and my sister, as a matter of fact, there was a lot of negatives, but there were so many positives being raised by a single mom who had to struggle. Mm-hmm. That means we didn't get everything we wanted, but I promise you, everything that we needed, that woman provided for. She worked for. And that's how we are. We will work. We will make it happen. It's not like we have to depend on a man. I mean, God wants us to have a husband and a provider or whatever if we have one.
But,
I'm saying. Yeah.
But if you have to.
But if I got to, I'm going to make it happen.
Right.
But I was embarrassed about having that because I just felt like that I was missing out, on having a father. And so even though I didn't know that I kind of made that type of vow within myself, I did. Like when I get grown, I'm going to be married. My kids are not going to have to grow up without a father. Mm-hmm. And so that shaped me probably in the worst way because it led to me making a lot of poor decisions because I was battling those demons, if you would, from my childhood.
And it stems all the way back.
It stems all the way back. From I can actually trace it back to that. I could trace it back to those feelings and that embarrassment and that missing out. And then sometimes you have people, kids are cruel and they say certain things about you, and then
Mm-hmm.
your mama got 6 kids, and just those type of things like that. It was just an embarrassment to me all the time. And what's so funny, Leandra, even now, I know that still affects me now, because even when somebody asks me about like my kids or my grandkids, I go the extra step and I'll say, me and their dad got married, and I say stuff like that. Or when I talk about my grandkids, my daughter, they got married, so many years ago, and then they had a baby. I make it a point to say that. That's
to
so
try
crazy.
to cover it up.
Try to cover it.
But you really don't. You just feel like you have to.
Which is so crazy to me that even now I find myself doing that. So that shows how much it affected me as a kid. Some kids, it didn't, maybe my other siblings, it didn't bother them at all. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, for me, it really did bother me.
That's another area that we can, because I was raised by a single mom too. But I guess it's another way that God can show us that, hey, I need to heal this area.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to be ashamed because I brought your mama.
Yes.
I brought both of y'all, so I covered all of that.
Yeah, he really did.
He really did.
He did.
You need to find it in yourself to say, hey, God covered that. I don't have to be embarrassed by that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird that even came up. I find myself that'll come up. But my mom is my hero because I saw what she did. And so that's why when people, if they are a single parent, it's just like no excuse. You can't just say, I'm not going to work. I'm a single mother. I can't do this. I can't do that.
No
My mama
excuse.
made it happen. It's like by any means necessary, except doing something illegal, you make it happen for your kids.
Yes.
And she did that.
Great work ethic.
For sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. And she,
Yes.
again, that's why I work. I can't not work, because
Right.
I got to make sure I got to have.
And so when you discovered that the shame aspect of it, and you said, I'm going to be married. So do you think that led to any ill decisions or decisions that you maybe should not have made in your
Sure.
past?
Absolutely. Yes.
Because I know when you feel like something needs to be happening in order for you to have the perfect life, so to speak, sometimes we make decisions that are not the best decisions for ourselves.
Yeah. Boy, it did it. It did. It really did. But that was, and we'll talk about that because I know you're going to ask me about my my access to church and all of that, my experience with that, and I was going to talk about that. But that combined with church and me wanting to do the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of a disaster.
Yeah.
My intentions were really good,
Mm-hmm.
but when you do things out of insecurity or being afraid, it doesn't turn out well.
Right. That's so true.
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience with church and growing up.
Okay, so first of all, being raised in a single parent home, my mom, she did go to church early on. She did go to church. In fact, all of her sisters, they sang in the choir, and they had this whole choir that they were part of, and they went around and they were singing and everything. And even from then, I was kind of like mesmerized by the singing and even the church.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of mesmerized by that. And so then when she would go to sing at church or choir rehearsal, I wanted to go with her. I don't know, it was something in me that was planted. I don't know where it was planted or how it was planted in me, but I was being drawn to God,
Mm-hmm.
even at a young age. And so she would go, and I remember one day she was going to she was going to go to choir. No, she was going to go to church. And I wanted to go so bad. I was begging her to go and begging her to go. And then she said I could go with her. And then I wanted to go outside and ride my bike. And I had these long white socks on. Right. And so she had told me not to get on the bicycle because I could get dirty. And so I went outside and I got on the bicycle and I was riding the bicycle. And so by the time I got off, it was muddy and I was all muddy, all, up my legs and everything. And so she left me there, and I can see myself now. I can see myself as a kid, heartbroken. And I remember sitting on the step, just crying so bad because I wanted to go to church. And so, again, because I wasn't allowed to go that day, it even made me want to go even more. And so then from there, we kind of drifted away from going to church. I do remember a long time ago, I think it was Beaufort Church of God, they would send a bus around to pick up all the kids in the neighborhood. And so they would take us to church there. But religion was not anything that was, and I say religion, but being a Christian was not anything that was really prevalent in my household. But we did know about who God was and church and all that. So that was my exposure as a kid. And then as a teenager, then I went to start going to Union Baptist and got on the choir. I went for the choir. Yeah. Because them KD was singing.
They were singing.
And so as a teenager, because my friend Jeannie and also Kelly, they were part of it. And so I joined the choir, and my Aunt Brenda was the choir director. And so that's kind of how I got in there in the church. From it's so many like different turns that I could go as far as my exposure to church, but those are some things that stand out for me.
Awesome. So your woman at the well experience.
All right, so my woman at the well, this is this is my journey of that woman at the well.
Wait, before we get to the woman at the well, how about your exposure to Jesus in church? Like when you had a real Jesus encounter.
Okay.
Because sometimes they can be different.
Yeah.
The woman at the well experience can be different than understand, when you really had an encounter with Jesus.
That's
like,
so true.
It's Jesus.
Yeah. That is so true. Believe it or not, again, watching you and watching your life, that's what made God real for me. I mean, it's something about, there's a difference in just hearing about church and God and just all the religious stuff than watching somebody's life who lives it out. And I think the Bible says you're like a walking, living epistle for me, And so I was able to see that in you. But again, there was always something in me that drew me to Jesus, right? Even as a kid, I would have like these encounters with God. I would have these dreams and things. I would have this knowing. I don't know where it came from or how. But my mom wanted to go out and go to the club or go do something. I would tell her, don't go. There's something going to happen. It's something I didn't want her going to the club. I thought it was just an evil, bad place, And I would tell her, don't go. Somebody's going to get killed. Somebody's going to get shot. And they did. And she would tell everybody about that story because I was like begging her, don't go, don't go. But I would have encounters. I would have these visions and those type of things. And I did have this fascination with just reading the scriptures. I was just so, I don't know,
enamored with it, and I didn't even know. I didn't
even know.
So it tells me that God know us from little bitty on up. I mean, He knows us when He put us in our mama's womb.
Yes.
So during this whole time that we're here, He encounters us in many different ways, it can happen as a child.
Yes.
And so I guess, as adults, we have to be aware of our children, our grandchildren, and pay attention to them when God is dealing with them, and not always think it's demonic, because we do know demons deal with children too,
for sure.
But most of the things that the devil does now, like having visions or giving visions to people or trying to show people things. God already had seers when, way back in the day.
For sure.
He already gave visions, and He can do that to our children. Amen. He said, how does it go? Our old men will dream dreams, and our
young men see visions.
Young men see visions, and that right there, with you saying that, just brought that back to me, that God deal with us at any age. He can deal with us at any age. We just need to be paying attention to our young to see what's really going on. Yeah. God can really be showing them.
That's true. Because I remember trying to explain that to my mama. She didn't understand. She knew something was happening, but she didn't understand it, And it was so weird. I remember, I think I was in the 5th grade. And there was our science book. And I think I probably talked about this on one of my podcasts briefly. But there was this science book. And back in the day when we were in school, they didn't mind putting certain things about Christians or Jesus or whatever. Now, honey, you won't find it nowhere. But it was in a science book. And it said, and it had a big picture of a sun, and it was black all around, and it had the scripture, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. I didn't know nothing about no scripture, any of that kind of stuff. But when I read it, I remember where I was in that 5th grade desk looking at that like, oh my God. And then it's like I just had this knowing even then about God being so big and so huge, and still knowing exactly what's going on, in my life. And so that was one of the things that I remember as well. But as far as me having a real Jesus moment, I would have to say, although I had several like little, little sprinkles every now and then. But when I finally did, when I became 18 years, even before then, when I was singing on the choir at Union Baptist, I was, we would be singing, I'll be having these like feelings like, what is going on? I felt the presence of the Holy Spirit, and it kind of freaked me out a little, a little bit, but then I wanted more. I just wanted more, right? And then I would tell the law, bargain with God. Even then, I realized He was real, but I bargained with Him. Lord, just wait till when I graduate, then I'll give my life to You. That's what I was saying. But you know what? I kept my word, though. When I graduated, I got married and I went to Faith Free. And I remember like having that encounter with him while I was on the floor. Like,
Real good.
yeah.
Right. Today is the day.
Yeah, right. And I gave my life to the Lord that day.
Mm.
And that was in February of 1986.
Wow. Wow. The Lord has blessed you.
Oh,
But the Lord been with us a long time.
Yes,
Yes, He
a
has.
long
I
time.
thank God that we ain't been perfect, but we've been faithful.
amen. Yes, for
We've
sure.
been faithful, and God has been faithful to
Yes,
us,
he's
even
been so
through our
faithful.
imperfections.
Oh my God, His grace and His mercy.
Yes, I appreciate the Lord. Yes,
Amen.
yes. So, how has Jesus impacted your life? Since you've been with Him.
Okay. Oh my God, Jesus has been the very breath of my life. He's the one that gave me hope. Because as I talked before about those things that I had as a kid, those feelings that I had, that embarrassment, those vows that I made within myself, what I wasn't going to do and was not going to allow. Because I have to go back here, because even as a kid, I watched a lot of alcoholism in my family.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a lot of physical abuse in my family. I did. I'm sorry, y'all, but y'all know it's true. I watched a lot of physical abuse in my family, whether my mom, my grandma, my uncle doing it to his wife or girlfriend. It was just abuse all the time. That's all I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the neighborhood that we grew up in, I saw men beating up women. I saw that kind of stuff. It was just normal, but I was so fearful.
Mm-hmm.
I was so afraid as a kid. But at the same time, it was sending a message to me that that's love.
Mm.
I know that's weird and that's jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
But it was sending a message to me that relationships, in order to be, because sometimes I saw they were happy. They were like doing great things. But then I saw this other thing where people were getting abused, and there was substance abuse and like alcoholism and all that. And so I equated that with love. And it caused me to not recognize abuse when it was there. I just saw it as love.
Part of love.
That's just part of love. And so I ended up making a lot of decisions. I got married straight out of high school. I was 18 years old. And I have to go back in, and I wanted to, oh my goodness, Lord help me. Because I'm not even sure if you even know this about me. So you're going to learn something today. You might know it. Because when I got into a relationship when I was 13 years old. All right, so here we go. Y'all ready? So I got into a relationship when I was 13 years old with a man that I would eventually marry. I was 13 years old. Here I am. I was a virgin. Of course, I'm 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, he took my virginity at 13 years old. And I have to say this, my mom, because she was a single mother, again, doing the best she could, but that still left us unattended.
Yes.
Right? Because she had to go to work. And so I had a lot of time by myself. I had a lot of time, at home, and there's nobody there. My other older siblings, they doing their own thing or whatever. And so I lost my virginity. And so I ended up getting pregnant at 13 years old. Did you know that?
I knew you had been together since you were 13.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you had got pregnant.
Yeah. So I got pregnant when I was 13 years old. I think it was December the 10th that I got pregnant.
Mm.
Ain't that great that I know the date? I got pregnant. I was 13 years old. And as you can imagine, I was just a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I was a baby.
You was a baby.
Right. And so when I found out I was pregnant, of course, I didn't know what was going on. I went to the free clinic in Beaufort, and I found out that I was pregnant. And then my boyfriend at the time, he was older than me. I think he was 17. He was 17 and I was 13. And so when I found out, I just noticed my belly was getting bigger at 13 years old. And then again, we made an appointment to go to the free clinic. I'm not sure if we had made an appointment or we just went to the free clinic. And so we were trying to get out of school so that we could go. And then one of my teachers well, his name was Mr. Perkins. I don't think he was a teacher at that time. I think he had moved into another area. But I was trying to get out of school, and I guess he realized that ain't no parent sign for me to get out. And so eventually we just had me and my boyfriend at the time, we had to tell him what was going on. He was so sweet and understanding and all that. And so he let me be checked out. So I went and found out and confirmed that I was pregnant. And so then I went, we got home and went to his house, told his mama. His mama said, you better call your mama now and tell her that you're pregnant. My mom was at work. Again, my mom worked all the time. And this was at night. And she worked that. And then she worked the second shift on top of that. So we got her from school. She was never there.
Right.
And so I remember the conversation. I got on the phone and I called my mama at work. And I said, I'm pregnant. And she said, what? And she said, I got to come home for this. And she hung on the phone. I was scared to death.
I'm sure.
I'm 13. We're not talking about me being this age now or 20.
17.
I was 13. I was a baby. I didn't understand a whole lot of things.
Right.
And so when she got home, she told me, well, you're not keeping it. And I was like, I know. I told her I'm not, because I didn't understand a whole lot. I just know that having babies hurt. That's all I knew, is that having babies hurt, and I ain't doing it. I don't want to do it.
Right.
But she made that decision for me. You're not.
And it's something that big people do, not little people.
Exactly. And so she got with my aunts and all of them, my Aunt Brenda, my Aunt Lulu, and wait a minute. And okay, I'm not gonna cry. Okay. And so
it's a Kleenex or whatever you need.
So they took me down to an abortion clinic. And again, I didn't think anything was wrong with it. My mama said that's all I was gonna have done, and that was just it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, my boyfriend, who later became my husband, he was begging me not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I'm not having a baby.
Right.
It's gonna hurt. My thing was, it's gonna hurt. That's just really, that's all I knew. I didn't understand what I understand now.
Right.
But anyway, so I went to they took me down there to some place somewhere. I have no idea where it was. I think it was someplace in Atlanta, I'm sure. I remember going in there. They had me take all my clothes off, put this gown on, put these socks on. And here I'm this little skinny little girl. Had to go back there by myself. And I remember going into the waiting room and I saw this other lady. Again, it's vivid. I saw this other lady sitting in there. She was this little white lady. She had long brown hair, straight hair. And she was in there. She was just crying. She was older though. And she was in there she was crying. Like, I guess she didn't want to do it. Again, I didn't understand enough.
What's going on?
I don't even know. So I was just sitting there waiting for them to call me back to do the abortion. It's like it was just really quick, a quick procedure, whatever it was. And I remember talking to this nurse. I can see her face too. She was this heavy set Caucasian nurse with brown hair. And she had just told me that, you're too young to be in here doing this, So I felt dirty at that point. I really felt dirty. I started to begin to understand. And then they took me back and they did what they did. I had to lay on this table and get in position, and they did all what they did. And then after I woke up, they took me out and I went and got in the car, and my boyfriend went with me again because he didn't want me to do it. So he was in there. And so I remember I went to sleep on him in the back seat of the car. And then when I got out of the car, I had bled so much. I was just bleeding all over, just like hemorrhaging, just blood everywhere. And so my mama had to go out there and clean out the car seat and all that stuff like that. But that was trauma for me because I started soon to understand I was disconnected from my child at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I didn't completely understand, I knew.
You knew something.
I knew. that I had just allowed somebody to murder my child. Sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry, I was not trying to go there. But anyway, I understood it. And so that's why I don't understand why people can do it so freely and then do it multiple times over and over again. Because I knew, and that was part of my trauma too, because murder my child. Sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry, I was not trying to go there. But anyway, I understood it. And so that's why I don't understand why people can do it so freely and then do it multiple times over and over again. Because I knew, and that was part of my trauma too, because even after that, I kept talking about the baby as if the baby was still inside of me. And I remember talking to him, my boyfriend, and just like, keep talking. Okay, I kept talking like, yeah, you know, and so when we have the baby and this and that, I don't know what happened to me. Something happened to me mentally. And I was talking about the baby all the time, as if the baby was still there and the baby was going to come. And then I remember one day at school and he told me, the baby is dead. He was like, wake up. Because I guess he got tired because he wanted the baby anyway. Right. And here I am, keep talking about it like it's still there. And then when he said that, it's like, I woke up. It's like, oh my God, I'm not pregnant anymore. And that right there haunted me for years, decades. And then the more I began to understand even about what abortions really was, and I learned so much about it, and then understand what I did. And I understood the sin part of it. I understood it was a baby because you know what, Leandria? The baby had started to move. I felt the baby kick inside of me.
It had gotten
big enough. I was 12 weeks pregnant when I had the abortion. So I felt the flutters in my stomach. And again, it was still very inexperienced. It wasn't like I was having sex all, it wasn't like that. I was very inexperienced. Yes. Very probably the first time. I don't know when it happened, but anyway, but that right there, that was trauma for me that I lived with for decades. Yeah. I felt guilty. And even if I have given my life to God and all of that, it was still in the back of my mind, even though I know he had forgiven me and all of that. It's like I kept bringing it up to him. Like, God, I know you love me, but I know you can't forget about that bad sin thing that I did. I killed my child. And
he had forgiven you, but that enemy kept bringing it up to you.
He did. But I finally worked through that thing where I went through this. Actually went to a Bible college. And then we had this thing because when you're counseling other people, you have to deal with your own issues. And so, again, this was like years and years and years, but it was still coming up in me all the time. And so we went through this thing where we were just going to release everything that we felt like it was holding us back or whatever. And abortion was mentioned also. And so we all got balloons and I wrote it on there. And we went out into the parking lot. And we released the balloon up. And we had like given it to God like it was gone. And that's when I was finally set free of it.
And you could see it leave.
Yes.
You could watch it go.
Yeah. Because only God can heal you from guilt and condemnation, self-hatred, all of that. Only God can do that. And he did it. Because he knew that I was godly sorry. He knew it wasn't just something I did, just like, birth control, just go do it. Yeah. I was ignorant. I didn't know, but it was still sin. I still allowed it to happen. And he forgave me, and I accepted he had already forgiven me. He'd been forgave me.
And you didn't really allow it to happen. You was 13. You was a child. It was something that was done to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Your mama had said,
that was it.
That was it. So it was actually something that was done to you. Yeah, you didn't fight them. Well, you didn't know you needed to fight them.
I didn't even know.
So it was actually something that was done to you.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But I finally released it.
Yes.
I finally released it. I finally accepted God's forgiveness.
Yes.
You know, it's not that he had to wait all those many years to forgive me.
He had already
forgiven
done
me,
it.
but I had to accept his forgiveness.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. So that's what kind of started it. Just a lot of trauma, and then I'm so sorry. I know, because I actually told my brother about it, and I said it really like very nonchalantly. He was like, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
I just told my baby brother this just a few months ago. He's like, "Now things make more sense," because now I'm like I'm like, I fight.
Mm.
You know, I want them to understand. I know, because I do. I understand that people go through things. I know it's hard, and I know all of those things. But at the bottom line, at the end of the day,
Yes.
it's still you're getting rid of a life.
Something.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
killing it.
allowing it to, yeah, that's it. You're stopping a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
You're stopping a heartbeat. But I went on from there, and then I got married right after high school, 18 years old. I graduated in, I think, June, and then I got married in August of the same year. I married that same man, and we went on to have children together, 3 children together, and we were married for 20 years. We're 21 officially before we
20 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome though, because for you to be together that long, had the trauma, because I'm sure it was traumatic for him as well as you. So we can only talk about your part of the traumatic situation.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he had to suffer his own demons concerning that as well.
He did.
And I'm sure it did not go without raising its ugly head during the marriage.
Right.
So I'm sure some of the hell that you had to go through during that too.
Yeah, it was.
That might have had something to do with it too.
And I think about
the devil don't play.
No, the devil will use every opportunity,
and everything
to destroy us.
Yes.
And I could say that he didn't bring it up. He didn't use it against me or anything like that. At least verbally, he never did do any of that, which I appreciate that. But our relationship was kind of toxic. Very toxic as well, because again I was a child. He was so much older than me, and I was a kid, and so it just got very toxic. And I have to say that me and him we're friends, and we both learned, and he's different and I'm different, but it became very toxic. It became not a very good relationship,
right?
Because me and my personality, I kind of just allow stuff. I allow stuff. I adapt to whatever. I operated out of a lot of fear. And so it made me do a lot of things, or wouldn't feel free to stand up for myself.
Right. Accept a lot of things.
I accepted a
that
lot
should not have been going on.
Yeah, I did. And so we were together 5 years before we got married at 18. So can you imagine that? I'm 13 years old. Being with him since 13, then 18.
So you've never been a woman. You had never been a woman without him.
Correct.
Yeah. So you didn't know who you were. Did not have an opportunity to develop Carla.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you were always under somebody else, actually.
Right. If they didn't like it, if they didn't like a certain thing that I did, if he didn't like a certain thing that I did, again, we're good now. All right, we're good. But if he didn't like a certain thing that I did or said, then I would become whatever he said.
He wanted.
Yeah, I would. Certain things I just wouldn't do, because if he didn't like it, I didn't do it. Because then I started operating out of fear, and so I completely lost my identity. First of all, I didn't get the chance to even find out who I was.
You didn't have an identity. Right. You.
And then, so after that, I can't even say I lost my identity.
You didn't have one.
I didn't even develop it yet.
Right.
That's weird, but you're so right.
Because when you think about it, you were a child in your mama's house, and then you were a child in his house and a wife. And everything you learn being from, 15, 16, 17, in those stages where you're trying to find your footing and see who you are. Because that's when we start getting our own personalities really and start discovering things that we like. You didn't have a chance to do that. No. It was all being molded by someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So I became whatever they wanted me to be.
That's one of those things where when you were divorced, after you were divorced from this said husband, I was like, take time to find out who you are. You don't even know what your favorite colors are. You don't know what. I mean, just because it can go down to your basic things.
You're right.
When you are under someone's rule, and I hate to say rule, but when you're raised in church and stuff like we are, it's like your man is your husband. He's the head of the house and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and then if you have a husband that is heavy-handed with that, should we say?
Yeah.
You haven't had a chance to know who you are since you've been together that long.
Right.
And after, that's one reason why I was like, no, just stay single for a while so you can find out who you are, what you even like.
Yeah.
If you don't even know if you like to travel, you don't know if you like skydiving, you don't know none of this. You don't know.
So true.
I don't know if I like skydiving. I'm not trying to skydive, but I'm just saying, find out who you are.
You did tell me to try to find out who I was, because I truly did not know, because all of my life, even up to that point, I had walked, I was actually like a prisoner to fear. I was always afraid. I was always afraid when I saw the abuse taking place at my mama and my grandparents or whoever. I was always afraid. And so then I got married, and then there was some things going on there. I was always afraid. But I remember it getting to the point where it just got really bad. And I remember that I made this conscious decision to be mad at God. And it's like, you know what? I'm serving you. I've been faithful to you. Ooh, I'm so glad he didn't strike me dead, girl. Thank you. But I remember, like, I've been, faithful all these years trying to do the right thing. And this is what I'm getting. And it's like my heart started to get really, really cold. It really started to get really, really cold. And that really did scare me. Cause at the same time, because sometimes you can want to walk in rebellion, but at the same time you be like scared, and that's what your hope, and that's what's it's been keeping you all these many years.
Yeah,
so you don't want to get too far away. But yeah, God, you want to talk bad, but you want to stay close too.
Yeah, I do understand.
Yeah, and so that's kind of
be brave and scared at the same time,
right? But I knew at that point that I had to make a decision about my life and my marriage. And I hated that. I hated what it was gonna do, what I felt like it was gonna do. First of all, shattering my dreams, because that's one thing I did not want. I did not want to be a single woman. I didn't want my kids to grow up without a dad in the house. I wanted them to be able to say, yes, my dad is at home and whatever. I wanted them to be able to do that, because I could never do it.
Right.
And so when we got a divorce, I was dealing with all of that. And I remember, because like I said, we had some good times to do. I can truly say that we loved each other. I knew he loved me. I loved him. We had this connection. I had been with him since I was 13 years old.
Right.
But there was still a lot of toxic things that were not good that was in the marriage. And later on, many years later, he did admit to me, he apologized to me. He said, I didn't know how to be a husband. He said, my daddy said, if they don't listen to you, you do this to them to make them listen. He admitted that to me. He told me.
I was going to say, the same kind of trauma that you were seeing, he was seeing it too.
Yes.
So that shaped him and what kind of man he was trying to be Because remember, he's young too.
Yes.
All of y'all was young.
Yeah, really young.
And mimicking pretty much what you saw.
That's a good point.
He was mimicking what he saw. You was mimicking what you saw. Plus, you was extra afraid because I remember people fighting in the streets.
Yeah.
Which was this, you remember? I can't think of his name now. Fighting girls in the street.
Yeah, I saw all that.
We saw all of that growing up.
And I would run home, especially if we go to the cafe and people, if somebody even start talking loud or arguing, I immediately run home. I was so scared all the time. I thought somebody's going to get killed or somebody's going to be in a fight or something. And so, and when it's, so when I start seeing it happening closer to home, I had to really do something about that.
And I'm so happy that he was able to come back and apologize to you because I do believe that y'all had a real love and a real connection between the two of you, that you really cared for each other. You wouldn't want nothing to happen to each other, period. But it just was y'all both had toxic role models in your life that shaped you the way that you were shaped.
That's exactly
right. And it just came out in the wash. I mean, it just came out.
And I know it was the best decision for us to get a divorce. I hate that because I know God does not like divorce. So I had to, me and him both had given our life to God. We were both in the ministry. And so that within itself, that was like a big no-no. Then you have to wrestle with all of that. And that's what kept me so long as well, because I was battling that. Battling, being a Christian, being an example. But then I got tired of pretending. God is never expecting us to do that.
No.
And so eventually we had to make a decision to just let it go. And I remember when after we did get divorced, and I thought I'm gonna celebrate whatever. It ain't like that. So people be talking about it. It's not like that because it literally is like the Bible said, the two become one.
It is.
And then when it's like you separate,
it's a ripping apart.
It really, really is. I remember being in my bedroom, and normally I don't want my kids to hear like me cry or something like that. You want to protect your kids. But that day I went in there and I started out really silent again, like I always do, and so they wouldn't hear me. But I began to wail. I began to scream because I had lost what I always wanted. And then I knew what that was going to do to my kids, and I knew what it was going to do to my ministry.